Greetings, adventurers! Thank you for allowing us a much-needed break to catch up and recharge. While we lost 100 patrons within hours of announcing our break, we're extremely grateful for those of you who have continued to support our creative career of keeping you all entertained in a sustainable and mentally healthy manner. Knowing that so many of you continue to support us and the creation of these stories by extension really allowed us to mentally relax long enough to catch up on the missing hours of sleep and prepare for this very exciting season of Dark Dice, and take a few much-needed sick days. We really need to address something as we get into this upcoming episode in particular, because I can already imagine the confused comments on Reddit and Discord. So, to restate, Dark Dice is an improvised horror story where we actually play Dungeons and Dragons and roll dice to figure out what's going to happen. No characters have plot armor, and some of them have lethally conflicting motivations. So when you hear a scene that a character wasn't present for, the player also wasn't present for that scene and has no knowledge of what took place. And in fact, many of them were really confused when Danilo and Jasper, who play Nimble and Jare respectively, weren't present for the Ritual of Last Light. So if it's confusing why certain characters might not see things the same way you do, remember that you have out-of-character knowledge. In fact, our cast are hearing the entire story play out for the first time as these episodes release, and have expressed varying levels of WTF, and I had no idea, and oh, I feel like a terrible person now. That makes so much more sense. So with all that out of the way, let's get started.
Shalis de pace. Salis.
Do you seek him?
Do you seek him?
Do you seek
Do you seek him?
Do you seek him? Do you seek the nameless god?
You have found yourself among those who roll the dark dice. What you are about to hear happened long ago, a story brought back from the edge of oblivion, dutifully transcribed and enhanced orally to better captivate your attention. Previously, the crew and guests of the Willow's Wake fled the sunken bulwark after the Ritual of Last Light was violently disrupted. Now safe from the sunken faithful, their attentions turned to dangers walking among them. Dark Dice, Shores of the Silver Thrum, Chapter 9, Grasping Shadows. Having escaped to the open waters and from the immediate retribution of the sunken faith, tensions lowered. The crew confirmed that they were not being followed, and, at the request of the captain, Vind retold the story of his survival within the caves, of Aje's betrayal, and of Nimble's murder. For runtime, we'll cut to the end of Vind's retelling, which was just as emotional and dramatic as it was the first time, just past the mates and captain determining how to prove someone's guilt without more than bruises for evidence.
The crew and I have decided what we're going to do, Mr. Greyview. For your safety and that of the rest of our guests and crew, we're going to do a quick sweep of the ship and make sure Aje is not present. If we find him, we'll question him and confirm his side of the story. Because this is my ship, and I don't want to have any potential for bloodshed or accident, would you mind giving Mr. Lurs your spear and javelins in the meantime?
I don't feel comfortable without my javelins or spear. It's a ceremonial relic that represents my position as a leader. If I were willing to hand them over, can I be assured security?
Konvo can act as bodyguard until the sweep of the Willow is complete.
Can do, sir. You okay with this, Mr. Greyview?
Yeah, thank you. Here are my weapons, Lurs.
Then consider me your shield.
I don't feel comfortable trying someone on my ship, so if the truth of the matter is unclear, we'll simply confine you both in separate quarters until we can reach a court in Winterport that can settle the matter. However, if there is enough evidence to prove Aje's guilt, or if he is unwilling to relieve his weapons, he will be imprisoned for the duration of the journey. Do you understand?
That's agreeable. Thank you. I just want justice to be served at this point. Aje is a spellcaster, and a tricky one at that, so please be careful in your search.
Good. Okay, everyone, except Konvo. Search the Willow top to bottom for Mr. Aje Ogun, who stands accused of murder. He is to be disarmed and detained for questioning, and is supposedly in possession of Mr. Trout's dagger, so be on your guard.
It's not gonna be easy to miss if he's here.
I call the guest quarters. There's an owlbear in front of them.
All yours, Galisk.
So, Jare, join me on the search. I'm checking the mess, then the hold. I think this is a situation where we all need to have backup.
Absolutely. What could go wrong?
Thanks. Buddy system, eh? Greatest idea during spooky times.
Ah, yes. The buddy system.
Jare and Av nervously descended the creaking stairwell of the Willow's Wake into the familiar gloom of the mess below. Their eyes scanned the room, landing upon Lán, who still had not stirred. After exchanging a worried glance, they began to search, cleaning as they went, fastening hammocks and securing their occupants' belongings until a movement. Enveloped by the shadows behind the open door to the hold, shadows that Jare noted seemed darker than natural darkness should provide. The form of Ogun, hunched and waiting, quietly breathing in unblinking intensity, the warlock's eyes transfixed on the stairs. It was unclear to Av and Jare if Jare had even registered that they were present at all.
Fuck! That's Jare. Go and talk to him. You're a bit more on his level.
Yes.
He looks a bit intense. Resistic.
Jare is very slowly and very carefully going to step towards him, seeing if there's any reaction that he doesn't want. Jare? Is that you? Jare?
Of course it's him. Who else would it be? We don't have rats the size of mountains on this ship.
So we do have rats on this boat.
Oh, don't start with me now.
Could you please step out of the way of the door, so I can see the entrance?
Jare obliges. He's stepping kind of to the side, making sure that the stairs are visible at all times. Jare, the whole ship is looking for you.
I know. I can hear.
Okay, then. You must also know that there are stories being told of certain events that unfolded on the sunken bulwark.
I have no interest in these stories. I only have interest in the truth.
And just for the sake of this conversation, because I hope that this is what it is at the moment, would you mind sharing that truth with us?
I think for the first time, Jare removes his eyes from the stairwell and looks at you, Jare, like deep in the eyes, and says, that there is a murderer on this ship, and it is not me. And then just goes back to looking at the stairwell.
The stairs which Av had fled up to seek the assistance of Vivianna.
Lady Vivianna, could I borrow your intimidating presence real quick, please?
Okay.
Jare and I found Jare, and I need your help potentially detaining him. I've seen you stab a shark to death, so I think yours is just the help we need.
Okay.
We need Jare to let us turn out his pockets, and he has to give us his weapons. I mean, Jare and I are going to ask him nicely, but you have more of an equal relationship with him, so maybe du weißt schon? I don't think he likes me very much.
I whisper to Av. Okay, so let me get this straight. Someone murdered Nimble?
Yeah, and we think it was him.
And we're... Jare murdered Nimble?
That's what we think, yeah. Ving told us about it while you were... All right, anyway, if he's got a knife on him or something Mr. Nimble had, I mean, it means he's the murderer, I think.
Holy shit! Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, oof, okay, I'm pretty charismatic. Let's do this.
Vivianna and Av returned to a nervous Jare, who was still very much alive, but who had failed to apprehend Jare.
Okay, yo, Jare!
Could you please step out of the way of the door?
You have a knife in your hand. Do you mind putting that thing down? I'm not winging this.
I do not care to put anything down.
Why do you sound so sad? It's not true, right? What they say? That you murdered Nimble? Because there's no way you would do that, right?
I think hearing this, Jare, who's been sat down, I think stands, looks at the trio around him and says,
would anyone like to stop me before I make my next move?
Whoa. I'm not saying we're accusing you. I'm just saying we can definitely talk this out, right? Right, guys?
Yeah, we can talk this out.
I am not in the mood for talking.
Okay.
Listen, Ajay, I can tell that you're clearly not in the right mood right now. I'm just...
Correct. I think Ajay's going to begin walking towards the stairs.
As this has been going on, I think the rest of the ship will be aware that you're down here with us, and they are. I'm just letting you know. They've asked us, and they will try to disarm you.
I turn to Ajay very, very coldly. I'm like, wait a minute. And walk over to Lán's body and check her pulse.
Vivianna knew.
I come from a family of assassins, and I know what a dead body looks like. Why is Lán dead?
Vivianna's hands gripped her daggers impulsively as she moved to face Ajay.
And Jare's gonna go, no. Lady Vivianna, this is... No.
Why is Lán dead?
The sunken mother hit her pretty badly back when we freed Fluffy. Almost killed Konvo too.
So you're telling me my friend is dead here. Nimble is murdered. You think Ajay did it and now he wants to leave? No. I take out my daggers.
I want to clarify, Vivianna, that I do not want to leave.
Hearing the commotion below deck, Konvo, still bloodied, felt his presence was needed.
I look at Vind. I say, are you able to control yourself if we go downstairs?
Only under the condition of knowing that whoever's down there is unarmed as well.
If I stand in front of you, will you control yourself?
Konvo, if who I think is down there, I don't feel safe knowing that he is armed and I am not.
So much for a brave leader.
Vind took no actual physical damage, but some emotional damage, gaining 4 stress as his ego had been critically marred.
People talk a lot about bravery until they've seen their friend's life taken right in front of them. The man is a monster.
And you're a coward, then?
I don't cower, but all I ask, Konvo, is to please hand me back at least my spear, and I'll go below deck with you. I'm strong on my own, but I'm stronger when I have my spear.
Doesn't really sound like that.
Konvo looked from the captain to Vind, unsure of what to do, concluding that sometimes inaction was the best course of action, and grunting before returning to his chores as the ship's sole surviving deckhand. Below deck, daggers had been drawn.
I, Vivianna, do not want to leave. I want to avenge my friend. It is that simple.
So you didn't kill Lán?
I have not seen Lán for many hours.
Oh, okay. I begin to think Jare's probably telling the truth then. I get very sad. I put down my daggers.
I am sorry if you have lost someone. I understand how it feels.
Yeah, I kind of liked her. I mean, yeah, sure, she was drunk all the time, but she was cool. I mean, pretty sure she was in a cult too, but, you know, people come from different families. Did anyone else hear that? Never mind. Yeah, she was definitely in a cult. But, Ajay, my priorities have shifted, and I step out of the way and go to Lán's body to give my respects.
Ajay turned his gaze to Av and Jare.
Will you tell me, please, where is Vind? Did he... I assume, given that people have come down here asking me to hand over my weapons and telling me that I am a killer, that this poisonous rat is, in fact, here and spreading lies.
He is. But again, as of right now...
Ajay starts walking towards the stairs again.
Neither Jare nor Av could physically stand in Ajay's way, so they made no attempt to stop him. However, they did not move out of the way either.
Ajay, right now, with the exception of Vind, no one is saying you're a killer. We're trying to figure out the truth here.
It sounds a lot like someone is calling me a killer. Jare, do not lie to me.
As I said, Vind is. But none of us have been to that cave, was it? So we don't know really what happened. And as you're not much in a sharing mood right now, we're having a hard time figuring out what happened. Or taking sides.
I have no problem with you, so long as you stand aside.
And, that's why you'll have a problem with me, you'll see. This is not your ship, this is the Willow. This is Captain Gelman's ship, of which I'm the second mate, and I see I'm only coming up to your knees here, but I'll cut the back of them real smooth and take you down to my height if you don't put the weapons down and comply with the captain's orders. You and Vin can kill each other when you get to Winterport. I frankly don't care what happens once you're gone. But right now, you're on our Willow, out at sea, and here, the word of the captain is the word of the law.
I've gestured to Yara multiple times during this monologue, indications like, now, Yara, do the thing. Now, Yara, hit him behind the head, Yara. But he did not.
I have had enough of this, little person. Do you really wish to talk down to me? I have seen my friend die. The killer, who also took one of my other friends' lives, he is up there trying to spread lies and poison about me. If you think that I am just going to sit here and let this happen, he will almost certainly try to slit my throat as I sleep. And if you give him a chance, maybe he slits your throat too.
Look, you think you were the only one to lose friends today, but you're not. I hear what you're saying.
Jare, who is disregarding a direct order for the second time today, is going to pull Av aside mid-sentence. We truly do not stand a chance here. He could actually kill the both of us quite easily.
Seeing the fear in their eyes, Ajay realized that he had unintentionally scared those in front of him. It was rare when he stood to his full height, rarer yet when he allowed his emotions and full strength to show, and he'd forgotten that even among his own people, he could be an intimidating presence.
Okay, it is this that you want. There will come a moment where I will need this particular dagger back. You will know the moment. It will be when Vind is crying out for his life.
Ajay started again for the stairs. Av was now more confused than ever, as the man before her simply handed over his weapons, one of which was the dagger she understood to evidence Ajay's very guilt. She hurried with Jare to follow Ajay upstairs and proceeded to place the weapons directly into the hands of the captain. The bell was struck twice, and Ajay cautiously approached the captain, noting the presence of Vin de Greyview sulking behind Konvo.
I would like to respect your ship. I will make this offer once and once only. If that man is not thrown in jail, I will kill him. Now, he killed Nimble, tried to kill me, and I believe was responsible for the death of another friend of mine. You have to decide. Now.
Konvo steps up to the captain's defense before anything happens and says, "We need to be pragmatic about the situation. And given the circumstances, I understand it's really heated. But also realize that we have a wild fucking beast in our ship that can go off at any time. So before you guys do any dumb fuckery around here, be aware of the situation in your surroundings. I know you guys have beef, but we have other problems going on at the same time."
I do not have a problem with anyone else here. None whatsoever. But let me tell you right now, this man will try to kill each and every one of you if you let him, to avoid being brought to justice.
Vind sneered at Ajay.
Ajay, I would like to believe you and put a temporary end to this until it can be settled on land in Winterport. So I'm going to ask you a question, and it's a very blunt one. If we're supposed to believe that you can be trusted, then why do you have that goddamned idol in your possession? My shipwright has informed me that he saw it in your cloak while you were handing over your weapons. An object that should be safely stowed away in our ship's storage.
I gave you an offer. I gave you my blades. I will gladly return anything. I will comply. And I will tell you anything you want to know. But not until that man is either dead or in a cell. If you refuse to do this, you will have to kill me first.
If you admit that you did in fact steal our property and are not open to discussing this further, then I'll ask every able body aboard my Willow to detain him, disarm him, and put him in the cell. It's that simple. We'll keep you under constant guard and ensure no one goes near you, and that the peace aboard the Willow is maintained. Theft aboard this ship will not be tolerated, and you'll be released to face a proper trial once we've arrived in Winterport in 2 weeks' time. We can do this the easy way, or
The air around Ajay grew colder as what little light was given by the hooded lanterns dimmed, and Ajay's body was wreathed in shadows, growing a full head taller and splitting, fracturing into a million permeations of the same shadowy form, which seemed to occupy roughly the same space. His cloak billowed behind him as thousands of piercing, glowing eyes coming from somewhere stared at the crew from beyond whatever plane or reality its fabric was connected to. Ajay extended his hand, and his crackling staff simply materialized, as if summoned by the darkness itself, or perhaps handed to him by shadows. And in that same moment he cast a spell, sending crackling energy hurling toward Vind, who scarcely had time to react.
Strangely, Yuehai, seeing this as a possible end to her life, or at least the lives of two men, found that she could do nothing but laugh, and enhanced the show with cantrips of fog, mist, and glowing lights. Lights that Jare found all too reminiscent of other horrors he'd been forced to relive only recently.
18 total to hit.
The blast struck Vind for 9 damage, his armor taking the brunt of the force behind the strike that would have felled most elves his size. However, failing his wisdom saving throw, Vind found himself frightened of this form of dread that Ajay had taken.
Detain him!
Scheiße auf alles.
The bellowing of the captain snapped some of the crew from their terrified state as second mate Av Mitov hopped over the railing of the aft deck, jumping toward Ajay, who unfortunately still towered over her. She struck him for 4 bludgeoning damage with the side of her sword, very much trying not to kill the man, but doing her best to knock him out. Yet this strike did not break Ajay's focus on Vind in the slightest. His twisted forms made no sign of aggression toward Av, and he did not even seem to care or register that she was between him and Vind. Even as he shrugged off a suppression spell from Galisk, Ajay's muscles briefly tightened before coming back under his control. And even as First Mate Lures jumped forward and put both arms around Ajay in an attempt to restrain him, Ajay's stare did not falter, a fact that was not lost on Uda.
Uda, what the hell?
Remembering that she gave Ajay guidance before they entered the cave and feeling some measure of guilt, given his apparent guilt in the death of Nimble, she felt it would only be fair to even the odds, and so placed a hand on the back of Vind's leg and cast Cure Wounds, her magics quickly repairing the wound to his chest.
Now we're even.
Wait, Ajay, stop, please! I know you're grappling with a lot right now, but you just tried to take me down in front of everybody here. Why have you chosen this path? I didn't know that you had the cursed idol on you. Perhaps that's what influenced you to act in such a manner, and you truly had nothing to do with my brother's death. It's not your fault.
Okay, fuck that guy. I'm gonna shoot another beam of energy from the end of my staff at Vind. 17.
The growing gold and green miasma at the end of Ajay's staff once again crackled to a furious concentration of energy that shot across the ship, striking Vind once more for 7 damage. Vind, for his part, succeeded his saving throw, overcoming his fear. But it was already clear that he didn't have to raise a finger against Ajay to win this fight, or any other. The orc had sealed his own fate with his rash and emotional actions, and Vind watched as Lures, Av, and now Uda joined in to pull him down and restrain him.
Just give up!
But it was Galisk who landed the blow that would take this monster down, in the form of a sleeping spell.
Pull you to slumber.
Vind couldn't help but smile, subconsciously toying with his bracelet, and giving a silent prayer of thanks to the giving god for, well, received guidance. Such cunning did not come naturally to Vind, who was more used to hunting than politics. But he felt like he could grow to become used to such things if all foes proved to be so easy to take down.
I think he's down. I keep hold. Turn out his pockets.
On it.
And Ajay succumbed to the call of sleep, returning to his natural form and letting go of his rage, for now.
Oh, fuck! It's the idol.
The hideous bone carving fell from Av's trembling hand. A curious thing, terrible and strange.
Myra, this is your thing. Make it go away with magic.
I can't break my spell or else he might wake up.
One step at a time. Bring him down and lock him up in the... I suppose it's just one cage now. Udo, can you take care of the... Huh?
I gotta help carry him into the cell. Av can put it away.
What, me? Well, I no harm in touching it again, I guess. Suppose I'm already cursed and all.
We can deal with him later. Let's get him locked up.
As the crew carried the unconscious form of Ajay below deck, Av nervously fidgeted with the object, which he was now sure was terribly cursed at best, if not inhabited by spirits that might haunt her for as long as she lived.
As he's still a bit off from having defied Av's order, still shaken from not only the day's events, but the experience with Yuehai's lights and the recent deaths of their comrades and Lán, Jare will take a moment to stare at the idol a bit longer and try to glean what he can about its history.
What? You want to hold it?
I don't. I just hope to tell you more about its history, perhaps, but in all honesty, rolling poorly, I've never seen anything like it, and it's really quite terrible to look at. Some kind of bone carved into the shape of a hideous creature. I know Jare has some sort of connection to spirits. I wonder if he actually stole it, or if perhaps it was drawn to him.
I don't want to diminish the severity of Jare's actions, but it very well could have influenced his behavior within the cave.
Here. Box.
Open it, you lunk.
Sorry. Here.
Yuehai rolled a 17 for religion to identify the figure.
I know that in certain parts of the world, in lands further to the south of where I come from, are celebrated gods we know. Gods like the Sunken One or the Storm Lord. But in addition to the greater gods, there are a number of smaller, local gods we do not know. And this one reminds me of a drawing I once saw of just such a god from either the Grey Swamp or Gensler. This one's pretty frightening, but some of the other ones I'm more familiar with can be more calm or childlike. Yeah, I've got nothing.
Gallus said Jensler too. Fits rather snug in the box with all that stuff in.
Yeah, like it was supposed to be there all along.
So, as Av takes the box downstairs, Jare's going to stick to her side, trying to, I don't know, give her a hand with the box. Because again, she seems like she might want the help.
I nearly got flattened by that giant warlock, and yet you want to help me? You ignored a direct order. But I guess it's just because you're a coward.
You're not entirely wrong there. And I'm sorry, I'm not really used to so much violence outside of the occasional bar brawl. I'm a shipwright, not a privateer, and if my skills can be of aid, I'll always and gladly offer them. But for things outside my skill set... let me also add that the jump over the railing you did there was pretty amazing. Just saying.
I nearly got tangled in his horns. Didn't even hurt him all that much either.
Well, in your defense, even when you jumped from the upper deck, quite bravely I might add, I hope you get a nice bonus or commendation when we reach port, he was still slightly higher than you. Like, I could swear he got taller somehow.
Yeah, kind of pissed me off, frankly.
And I think they're antlers, not horns. Is there any... Jare's bending down a little, looking at her face.
What are you doing?
Were you hurt? Do you have any new marks or scars that make for a fun story to on Winterport?
I don't think so. Do you see any?
Some dirt. Let's clean that off.
Ah, knock it off.
Hey, one moment.
Ow!
There. Look at this. A splinter. Well, it might not leave a scar, but I think you'll be happier without it.
Danke.
Gerne.
Could have come away with something worth the time. Like that scar Sir Vin's got over his eye. A proper story-strung scar.
Well, coming away with your life intact is enough. Boy, do I know all about splinters, though. Look, I was clearly in the wrong earlier. I shouldn't have stood back like a coward. I should have helped you and the others. The more I think about this, the more I have deep concerns. I was worried enough about a potentially cursed idol being on board the ship, but I'm even more concerned about Jare having taken it. I think Vin may have been onto something, and perhaps it compelled him to murder Mr. Troutspine Trout. Nimble.
It's possible. I think I heard stories like that back home in Nelwog. He was acting quite a bit commish since we hit land, so perhaps his actions were not his own. Hopefully he'll come back to his senses after he's had time in the cage with Ula. Mixed. I just remembered I touched the idol too. Think there's any way to get this bad hocus pocus off me?
Not really. But the good news is that it's back safely in its box. Once we stash it back safely in the deepest corner back there, out of reach of everyone, we should be safe again.
Yeah. I'm gonna stow it in the deep holds this time. Maybe make a ring of salts around it too.
That sounds like a good plan. And just as you said, if this idol could have played any part in what transpired with him and how he was acting, maybe you can convince the captain to keep that in mind, so we don't make any rash decisions about him.
If I'm being honest, Captain's a mess right now. He's a true Nell Deach believer. This shook him. But I've no doubt we'll be sticking with a plan to keep RJ locked up till we reach port.
That's a relief. I hope we can confirm it during the next crew meeting, just to be sure, because I didn't think... When I first met Ajay, he didn't strike me as the kind of man to do such things. Then again, I know very little about him.
Well, I know he's got big effing horns or antlers that are terrifying when you jump towards him. Never realised just how sharp and pointy they were before I was at eye level with them.
I'm glad you weren't hurt.
Nearly impaled myself on him.
Please don't tell the people that were with us in the temple, but that was the bravest thing I've seen all day.
Ah, well. Anyway. I appreciate it, Yara. Thanks for the chat and for helping me with all that.
Of course.
I'm gonna get this box into the hole by myself, so go do, whatever. Be at the meeting later. Captain's orders.
Still slightly red, vanished below the hatch to the galley. Yara stood in place for a few moments more, smiling before moving to find Seely, so he could show his owl affection and take a much-needed breather. Seely greeted him above deck, landing on his shoulder, and looking pleased with herself, she glanced longingly at the meat being fed to the owlbear.
So earlier, Udall was about to give the pig carcass to Fluffy. I wanted to, stop her and be like, wait, can I feed her?
Uda, who was up until that moment enthusiastically dragging the pig across the ground toward the hungry owlbear, was happy to oblige.
Sure. If you'll do it, great. It's all yours. Thanks, Lady Vivianna.
Woohoo! Okay, so I'm gonna feed Fluffy for the next hour, and while I'm feeding her, I am talking, telling my feelings to Fluffy, mostly about Lán dying. I kind of lament about my life, oh my god, I came on the ship to explore the world and stuff and see new things and escape the past where, my family's full of assassins and they kill everyone and it's not like I didn't like Lán, Fluffy. You know I liked her. Yeah, she was in a cult and she was weird and a bit annoying, but it's not like I didn't like her. And now she's dead? And I don't even know what went on with the others, really. But now Nimble's dead too. Can't keep up. I don't understand why death is just everywhere, Fluffy. I don't know why things have to be this complicated. And I have no idea who killed who or, why everyone's fighting right now. Fluffy, I feel like you're the only one on this ship who understands me. And she continues to vent like any melodramatic teenager with an owlbear while the others are fighting in the background.
Fluffy grumbled in approval.
One thing Vivianna did realize, while watching Fluffy pull apart a piece of pig meat from its rib cage, was that she'd been sharing the nicer room with Lán this entire trip. And now that she was not there, all of Lán's belongings still remained in their shared room.
Ooh.
Never knowing when someone might disappear, when Borhoka might cut their life's thread short, leaving everything that they had planned in the world behind.
Yeah, I think I'm very, shook because although I come from an assassin family, that was, ordered, That was all premeditated. But this was, unexpected. So I'm pretty upset. Fluffy's definitely helping. It's like an emotional support animal right now.
Sometime later, after spells were cast and a dangerous warlock was subdued, Greyview walked the Willow's Wake to see which familiar faces had survived the chaos of the last light ritual. He could count the ship's navigator Looper, Mr. Omen, Konvo, Jare, Lurs, Gallus, Av, Uda, Seely, and Captain Gelmain among the surviving crew, now truly a skeletal one. And among the guests, not including prisoners, he counted only himself, Yuehai, and Lady Vivianna, who seemed to be obsessing over the owlbear. Out of everyone on the ship, Vivianna was perhaps the most useful ally. And so, Vind nervously touched the scar over his left eye, the scar he told everyone was from an owlbear attack, as he hesitantly approached her to start a conversation.
Why in the world you'd befriend such a beast is beyond me.
Oh, Vind, my only other buddy whose name starts with a V. That's how I remember your name. Anyway, Fluffy was going to be sacrificed. We don't let our friends just die, right? I figured if anyone would have understood that, it would have been you.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about, Vivianna. My companion, my friend, was murdered by someone who is below deck right now, probably laughing and planning his escape, and you're worried about an owlbear?
Yeah. Well, it's not like my friend didn't die too, you know. And I gesture wildly to where Lán's body was. People die all the time, Vind.
Yes, but a cold-blooded killer is literally right beneath our feet.
How do I know you're not the killer, though? I heard you guys arguing. How am I supposed to know?
Didn't you hear my explanation earlier? Didn't you see Ajay literally turn into a rather terrifying, if I might say so, shadow monster and attack me? And before he did that, did you see any bodily harm on him anywhere? And have you seen this? And Vin once again parts the armor around his amazingly well-defined abs to show off the more recent battle damage he received from the caves when he just barely was able to escape with his life. Doesn't that concern you at all?
Vivianna just kind of shrugs. I'm gonna be honest. I don't even know if I can trust you. What if you did that to yourself?
That would just be sick. And trust me.
Right? That would be psychotic, right?
If I was one to cause bodily harm to myself,
Absolutely psycho.
Yes, to prove something, I wouldn't have been put in a position of leadership. The Shade Elves are discerning hunters, and we don't take kindly to liars. I can see that you're busy, perhaps, and still dealing with the events of the last few hours, as we all are, so I'll give you some space.
Oh, actually, I wanted to ask, do you mind if I see that wound a little closer, actually?
No, I don't, actually. Vin steps 3 feet closer, and once again, separates his armor to show off his battle wounds as he holds his breath.
That looks gnarly. Yeah. I roll a 7 to look at them a bit closer, being used to looking at wounds, but it's clearly bludgeoning damage and something he didn't do to himself. Got it. Okay, so this doesn't look like you did it to yourself. I mean, that would be absolutely psychotic, insane behavior, and I will be so worried if you did that and we are in the same vicinity, but I'm going to trust that you didn't, in which case you were attacked. Could you give me a moment? I'll join you and the others in a bit. I just need some time.
Yes. And all I ask now is that you think about what you've seen. My wounds, the fact that he had Nimble's dagger as a trophy, the fact that he stole something from the ship and tried to murder me in plain sight of everyone and put the lives of everyone on the ship in danger by summoning dark magics. You've been here with Fluffy for a few hours now, and I know you need a little bit more time. But if something happens, we're gonna need to stick together. And I need you to know that you can trust me. I have your back if anything happens. And if you can find it in yourself sometime, perhaps later today, perhaps tomorrow or the following day, I'd feel a lot better knowing that you have mine as well.
I don't trust him, but he is handsome. And the wound actually kind of adds to his attractiveness. Like, he's got that, like, rugged, like, oh, look, I'm so injured, like, sort of look going on. So Vivianna's kind of like, okay, Vind, all right, I'll have your back.
Thank you. I hate that I had to ask that of you. That there even have to be sides to this.
Oh, no. Absolutely, yeah.
But,
we need to stick together.
Yeah.
Your eyes are really green.
Yours are beautiful as well. Like a royal purple. But listen, we can't get into that right now. There's something I need to take care of. I'll be back soon.
Okay.
As Vind departed, a bit confused if he'd gained an ally or a girlfriend, what was Yuehai up to as the willow put more distance between its guests and the sunken bulwark?
So, just after RJ has been taken into custody and the fight concludes, I'm just looking out at the water, talking to myself, complaining. This is so typical. The one guy that I have the tiniest affection for leaves, one way or the other. Just like the others. And then I just get on this new ship and we're suddenly being chased by the sunken faith. People are fighting like children and someone aboard is already dead. Oh, wait. There's an owlbear on the ship now. And as a person who likes animals, I'm going to check it out. And as I pass Vin, I scoff at him. You okay, mate? You look kind of psychotic. And I don't wait for his answer before continuing to, was it Vivianna? And I ask her, what's the name? Is it yours?
Well, might as well be mine at this point. Her name is Fluffy. She likes chin scratches and dead weasels.
Do you think if I scratch her chin, she'll be okay with that? Use animal friendship. And I start scratching Fluffy's chin.
Oh, look at that. She likes you.
Aww.
You're you. Yuehai, the musician from the Sorrel's Edge, right?
Yes, and I believe I've heard the others refer to you as Lady Vivianna.
Just Vivianna's fine.
Well, it's my pleasure to finally get to meet you, Vivianna. Oh, her leg kicks when you scratch here.
So, sorry if this is rude. Were you very close to Nimble?
Well, he certainly made an impression on me. We actually just met this morning, but he was so cheerful and friendly, and I tried to sort of say certain things to make him not enter the cave with RJ and Vin. You know, I guess they were friends, so they went together. How about you? You've met all of them before? It seems like you guys know each other.
Yeah, he was... Oh no, I shouldn't be rude.
No, just tell me.
He was very short.
What, nimble?
Yeah, I called him Shorty once, I think. I feel kind of bad now.
You know, I'm actually shorter than him by like 2 inches, so...
No, really? I didn't notice. Not at all. I looked down at her as I say this.
So you knew RJ and Vin before from the ship, and like the rest of the crew, you all seem to know each other so well, despite it being such a large ship. And that lady, was met her unfortunate fortune.
Yeah, Lán, the freedom fighter lady from a cult. I really did. I liked her a lot, so her being gone is... You know, I shared a room with her.
Mm.
Do you want to move into my room instead?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
I mean, it's a really, really nice room. I think it'd just be a waste if, you know, I'm just there, right?
But just out of curiosity, like, you've known RJ and Vin beforehand. Were they always like this?
Yeah. Well, neither of them really gave me murderer vibes before we explored the island. I mean, Vin was just this really handsome elf, really green eyes and really nice blonde hair and cool scars.
Really? I guess we have different taste in men.
Oh, that's good. Okay. We're gonna get along great.
And RJ, was he always quiet?
RJ was always polite, I swear. I mean, yeah, he looks kind of scary, but he was very respectful and polite. I honestly can't imagine either of them just going around killing their friends for fun.
RJ strikes me as someone who has a deep past, like he's survived and overcome difficult trials. There's some sadness behind those eyes.
I mean, don't we all, right?
I suppose.
I bet you do as well.
Yeah, don't look at my eyes. I have green eyes, by the way, if that's your favorite color.
I look at her eyes, like as soon as she says that.
Looking into Yuehai's deep green eyes, Vivianna, for the briefest of seconds, got the same impression one felt staring into the eyes of a predator at night. That deep, shining glow as the lantern light shone past them.
So I found out that aboard this ship is a copy of the Collected Legends of Rive. Are you familiar with them?
I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I am not.
Well, Rive is a fabled hero and demigod from the realm of Renasco. And if you're just sitting here, I happen to know one of Rive's stories. It happens to be an old favorite of mine. And I could share it with Fluffy and whoever else wants to listen.
Well, I guess Fluffy might like to hear it.
Okay then. Let me just get my ukulele. Okay. So, let me now share the legend of Rive, the Star Ox, and the Court of Souls. So was Rive, to all sure known, set upon by an ill. For though part god and hero sure, was but mortal still. He took to his yoke and drove up to high sky and moon. Among the stars he wandered, his plough the milky night. Till he came to rest within her long and weary sight. She, O great and dreadful known, the end of all our life. The splendor all souls revere and fear in simple smock. High Borhoka, shearing, snipping on her star-thrown rock.
Old Borhoka, venerated, here I humbly bow. Know you me, O regent of all, here upon your throne?
Rive laid his prizes, sword, helm, yoke, then bent head to stone. Why would I know you, mortal man, though one among stars? My work consumes time, your life, so many passing fears. Think you tiny men that I dwell on mortals' passing years? I know you not, so speak your peace, starry mortal man.
O great old Borhoka, I am Rive of Nellium. Come up among the stars, I seek to cure an ailment that preys upon my breast. Please, I seek a swift relent, for I have battled demons, beasts, shades, and wicked men. In honor of the gods, I serve Almighty Relia. My father, though a god, I can never reach so near. I suffer now a mortal mark, though I served his cause.
Borhoka cut a life cord, silvered, gleaming. It fell. Child, little mortal one, do not let him see tears swell. He, your father, or another, you are soon to pass. Your God will come, I will clip the night and final sun. And after I have supped dinner, your line will be done. Gallant deeds, though grand to you, are pittance to this king. The mortal question plagues you, nothing can be done. Yet come now, I'll let you see your court as it's unspun. Rive's heart was struck to learn this deep betrayal of fate, and Borhoka, gentle giant, took his human hand, led him to her spinning wheel, a soul in every strand. Yours is coming up soon. Such few souls would glow so bright, but you live on in song and story, heroic muse. You've made your peace, said goodbyes, nothing left to excuse. Then he noticed in her hand the shears of Tulaiga, blade of silver with blade of iron, snipping away. One so merely an infant, the next one long turned grey. As his glowing cord approached, he looked up one more time.
Oh, great Bohoka, please take care of my ox and yoke, for I have no one left now, neither friends nor kinfolk. It must be true. My time has come to join them beyond. I see it now. It rounds the wheel. Only this breath left.
And so, by silver and iron, soul of Rife was cleft. As Rife faded, his soul string fell to the growing pile. Come now, ox, your master's gone, and I will take your care. I will air troubles to your uncomprehending ear. Bohoka led the yoke, pulling with her the old string. Once long ago, little one, when time was very young, I cut a special cord. See? Oh, I should bite my tongue. Lost, it fell to mortal lands. Your master wasn't the one. So Bohoka and the ox did on the great throne rest, and she felt relieved, a secret lifted from her chest.
And while the tale concluded with Vivianna fast asleep, all aboard the Willow's Wake could not help but listen in to such a masterful retelling of the story that had been in their hands but just beyond grasp, literacy being as rare as it was among the crew of the Willow's Wake. Even Jare, waking within a prison cell that dampened his magic, found solace in the tale as Mr. Ullman smoked nearby in muted silence. As time passed, Jare eventually introduced himself to the curious man he now shared a cell with.
Ula, I do not think we have been properly introduced. I am Jare Ogun of Sangoma.
I know.
What are you here for, may I ask?
Do the reasons behind our current captivity hold value to you? The outcome, our path, remains unchanged.
Well, say I am bored and we have more than a few hours ahead of us.
I will not have the actions of my flesh be judged by a shaman reduced to thievery. Such action was far below you.
Yes. Truth be told, I do not know why I even took it. It sort of called to me. I thought it might be important somehow. And my people have a slightly different view on this ownership.
But you did find what you were looking for. Was it worth the cost?
I want to say no, but I am honestly not sure. Had I known the cost, I would have never gone. But this knowledge is something I did not know I needed. It changes so much. I never knew my mother, and still I wish that things could have been different.
We have much time ahead of us, and much to reflect on, it seems.
Okay, well, I like to collect stories of people. I like to learn new things, so feel free to pray out loud.
Tomorrow evening, the smelly man will leave and the other one will come. That will be your chance.
Okay. Well, I do not know that I need to take any chance, but the only thing that waits for me on the other side of these bars is probably me getting killed by the rest of the crew whilst I try to avenge our friend, because there is a poison upon this ship that has twisted the words of... They have twisted the minds of the people aboard it against me, so I don't know if I really need to leave here.
If it is the will of the gods, one of you will die. And if it is not, you won't. Embrace this, shaman of the Sangoma.
Yes, I will embrace it.
When the time comes, and it will come, dwell on these thoughts. Heed these spoken words.
That is not ominous at all. I will... I have something that I need to do. To write. I need to get it out of my system. Thank you for the conversation.
Ula only smirked as Ajay produced a lone sheet of paper and a small piece of graphite, which was woven into part of his cloak. Spending the next few hours writing down, with immaculate detail, the events of what transpired on the sunken bulwark, adding background information surrounding Ajay's friendship with Vin's brother, Alistair, and the latter's subsequent and mysterious death, rumored to have been the result of poison. Ajay was hesitant but included that the spirits had guided him, encouraged him to look into the possibilities of poison, and that, less than a week after Alistair's death, plagues beset their lands, further implicating Vin's treachery. It wasn't until a few days later that Ajay found the right moment to pass this letter to Konvo, who had been sent to relieve an exhausted Omen. And moved by such a desperate and vulnerable display of trust, Konvo was too embarrassed to admit in the moment that he could not in fact read. Their conversation concluded.
I'm very aware of the conversations. I was there. But I understand where you're coming from. And I'll keep an eye out on them. So don't worry about that. Just keep yourself safe. We can get this all sorted out at Winterport. I promise I'll make sure you get a fair trial.
I appreciate you, Konvo, for being at least upfront with me. You show me respect, and I will always do the same to you. Thank you.
Konvo, who has no idea what the note says, is going to share it with the captain at the end of the shift, and once the storm passes.
But well before that note had ever been written, during the final hours of the day that the Willow's Wake escaped from the sunken bulwark, if it could in fact be called a day, Konvo, tired from one of the most exhausting shifts of his life, sat down, leaning against the invisible mast of the Willow's Wake, and proceeded to scowl at Vivianna as he caught his breath, waiting for an opportune moment of silence during an after-meal conversation between Vivianna and Yuehai to slowly approach her and share his feelings.
I hope she's fucking worth it.
Whoa. What's with the attitude?
The attitude? What's with the attitude? Your shenanigans and that fucking animal cost the lives of Lán, Becker, Yelena, and got us all branded as heretics. We talked about this, and I trusted you to behave, to follow the rules, and the first thing you go and do is cause trouble that killed 3 people. Lán's death is on your damn hands.
Sounds to me like you're projecting because you feel ashamed that you couldn't save them, so you're pinning it on me.
Yeah, clearly. I mean, after all, she was trying to save you. Whatever. And I look at Yuehai and say, word of advice. Those that stay close to this one, don't make it very long. And I just get up, and I start limping, leaving as much blood as I can dragging my leg. Limping all the way down to the captain's quarters, and I just knock loudly and enter before he can say anything.
Konvo and Vivianna gained 14 and 7 stress respectively, but knew that there was little time for this, as Konvo was quickly before Captain Gelmain, who was clearly worse for wear than when he'd last been seen, a bottle in his hand, as he looked over the charts.
Oh, here we go.
Gelmain hardly seemed surprised to see Konvo, and did little more than pass the bottle before speaking. These actions, so out of character, confused Konvo.
It's been a shitty day, hasn't it, Konvo?
Sure.
Well, frankly, I'm appreciative to have you on the crew. I don't know if we could have made it out of there without you. You're right. Right about Lady Vivianna, and I should have listened to you. Now, I'm a literal God's damned heretic. Or worse.
Permission to speak freely, Captain?
Of course.
I'm a little pissed off, sir. I warned you about Vivianna and the others, and I did as you requested. I followed the guests, I talked to them about obeying the rules, how they're necessary for our survival, and frankly, it all went tits up.
And that's why I gave the task to you. If anyone could have kept them in line, I figured it would have been you, Konvo.
And I did my best to get everybody back, sir.
And that's appreciated. I made the wrong call. But now, we must live with the consequences, among other unpleasantries. I appreciate the work you did. At least Lán's body was able to be recovered, but I've no idea how to explain any of this to the Farhauler Company.
Anything else, sir?
How long do you plan on staying on my ship after this?
From what I recall, and from what I remember, the job was just for Winterport. After that, after I'm paid, I'm honestly not sure now.
I don't know how many times you've been in these northern waters, or if you've had much experience with the Sunken Faithful, but I don't know what we're going to do. The Willow did not receive the Sunken One's blessing, and I've been going there every year since I was 14. They're never going to let me back.
Well, we made personal sacrifices, right? It may not have the same monetary value as...
I'm sure that any goodwill we had from personal sacrifices has been thoroughly undone by Vivianna and Lán's actions. If we're lucky, all of my years of service to all Neldic will see us to port. She's not known as being forgiving.
Well, sir, as the saying goes, knock on wood, and we're surrounded by it. Let's just get through this, and we can think about what happens once we get to port.
Captain Gelmain sat down in his chair, leaning back, his eyes staring off at one of the walls. He didn't dismiss Konvo, so much as he simply stopped recognizing that he was present.
Sir, per your orders, Lán's been put into the hold so we can bring her to her next of kin in port. She's in a box in the sands, so the rats shouldn't be able to get to her. And once I kind of see Captain Gelmain isn't responding, I'll just turn around and leave quietly.
As Konvo stepped outside, he could feel a change in pressure, a change on the wind. Somewhere off in the distance of the endless dark, a storm was brewing. Dark Dice, Shores of the Silver Thrum, Chapter 9, Grasping Shadows, created by Travis Vengroff and K.A. Statz, featuring LilyPichu as Vivianna Bloodchamber, Eric Nelsen as Vind Greyview, Jasper William Cartwright as Ogun, Florian Seidler as Jare, Enrique Perez as Konvo, Sophie Yang as Lán, Sam Yao as Yuehai, K.A. Statz and Travis Vengroff as co-dungeon masters, featuring the voices of Corrine Cromfley, Kiera Baxendale, David Amber Devereaux, Chris Lurs, Daria Ullman, and Marisa Tapara. This episode was produced and edited with sound design by Travis Vengroff, with dialogue editing assistance by Kayla Shu, mixing and mastering by Marisa Ewing, transcriptions by Shion Francois, and executive producers Dennis Greenhill, Carol Vengroff, AJ Punkin, and Maico Villegas. This episode features music by David Wise, Stephen Malin, Brandon Boone, and Travis Vengroff. To support this production and get ad-free access to bonus releases, music, world lore, art, and early access to future adventures and D&D materials, please join our Patreon at patreon.com/Fool and Scholar. This is a Fool and Scholar production. Thank you for listening.